Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this episode 3745 and today's date is October 4th, 2025, and the title of the episode is Trump has taken the economy to the next level. Energy prices are about to drop. Now, I don't know if you know this. You're not investing. You're being used. Wall Street, Washington, the Fed, they don't care about your future. They care about control. And as they push their agenda forward, they'll take everything they can from you. Your retirement, your portfolio, your freedom, all of it. The only way to protect yourself is to stop playing their rig game and untether your wealth from the system they control before it's too late. The simplest way, move your money into a universal asset they can't print, freeze, or devalue. That asset is gold. With Noble Gold Investments, you can roll over your retirement into real physical gold and silver. Wealth that's beyond their reach and in your hands. Go to x22gold.com right now to get your free wealth protection kit. That's x22gold.com. Noble Gold, helping you break free and take back control. Or just click the link in the description. And remember, past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals involves risk. Consult your financial advisor before making investment decisions. Let's get right into the economic collapse financial news. Now, the deep state, the corrupt politicians, the private wealth central bank, the World Economic Forum, you can see that they have been pushing the shutdown to do what? To stop the Federal Reserve from lowering the interest rate. Yes, this is one of their agendas, and I do believe Trump and the Patriots, they knew that they were going to push this. Now, again, Trump and his team, they're defunding the entire deep state operation while the government is shut down. And I do believe Trump is hoping that the deep state players will keep the government shut down probably around 61 days, because that is the magic number where he can actually fire the people permanently. Can he lay off a lot of people? Can he shut down different agencies? Of course. But I do believe the deep state, I do believe they're being instructed to keep the government shut down. So this way, the Federal Reserve can have an excuse of why they can't lower the rates anymore. Now, once again, you can see the Federal Reserve, they're being instructed from those individuals above their pay grade, and they're being instructed to keep the rates where they are. They would probably like to raise the rates, and you can see out in Europe, the economy is starting to break down. Now, they might be using Europe as the excuse of why they need to raise the rates later on, because as we could see at this point in time, the Eurozone, the inflation is starting to pick up, and we can see that unemployment rates, they're rising to 6.3%. So this is very, very interesting, because what's happening is out in Europe, the entire economic system is completely and utterly falling apart. Remember, they're pushing the Green New Scam here in the United States. That's what Joe Biden was doing. He was not just him, but we know the people behind all this. They were pushing the Green New Scam. They were pushing us into the Great Reset. And Europe, they haven't stopped. They're continually doing that. And what we're seeing now is that inflation has taken effect. We see that unemployment rate is going up. And I wouldn't be surprised when the entire world starts to feel this. The Federal Reserve, they might be saying, okay, let's look around the world here. Let's hold steady. Let's not lower the rates because of what's happening in other places. Now, of course, at this point in time, they can use the excuse of the shutdown. But eventually, Trump is going to put a lot of pressure on the Federal Reserve, because think about what he's doing right now. He's going to be bringing the energy prices way, way down. And we could see that OPEC right now, they're ready to make a major, major move. But when we look at Europe, we could see that Germany, yes, they were the template of the Green New Scam, the Great Reset. And out in Germany, jobs are being lost left and right. So following the Build Back Better agenda, the EU went all in for green energy proposals. EU banking and finance followed suit, funding investment capital for electric vehicles to replace combustion engines. And this put the EU, specifically Germany, in the position of competing against the largest EV industrial base in the world, and that is China. The second major flaw was capital only flowing to the EV sector, and Europeans, along with majority of the industrial West, are just not buying EVs at a production capacity to match prior investment. Put it all together, and Germany is trying to compete with China to produce a product their consumer base does not want. And most of the people around the world do not want EVs. Yes. Is it okay to have an EV? Of course it is. It's your decision. But no one should be forced into only purchasing an EV. There are many people that said, you know something, I would like an EV just to drive around town. I can charge it up in my house, but I also want a gas-powered car. But you could see what they were trying to do. Europe, the Biden administration, which is really the Obama administration, they were pushing EVs and saying, this is the only automobile that you could actually have. Everything else we're going to get rid of. It's almost like when Obama pushed the Affordable Care Act. And how did that work out? Not too great. And what we're seeing right now is that the German people, they now are losing their jobs. And as of right now, Volkswagen, Audi, Porsche, and other German automobile manufacturers, they're going to be eliminating 100,000 jobs by 2030. This is how bad it is out in Germany. And you could see it's going to get a lot worse because, again, their entire mission was to do what? To bring us into the Green New scam. And you could see here in the United States, the opposite is happening. Trump reversed everything and said, nope, we're canceling all that. Since the shutdown, we could see that all the Green New Scam projects across all the different states, especially the blue states, they're being canceled all over the place. We're saving billions of dollars. And Trump right now, he's prepared to do what? He's prepared to take the economy to the next level. And how do you do that? You lower energy costs. Now, we'll be talking about that in just a sec. But first, we could see that U.S. home prices, they're starting to slowly decline right now. The Cobisi letter on X put this out and said, home prices across America's 20 largest cities fell by 0.07% month on month in August, less than the 0.20% decline expected. This marks the fifth consecutive monthly drop, the second longest streak in 14 years. Prices were still up by 1.82% on a year-to-year basis, the smallest gain since July 2023. Meanwhile, U.S. home values adjusted for inflation recorded their third consecutive monthly decline. Despite this, real home prices remain approximately 10% above their 2006 housing bubble peak. So basically, this is very, very interesting. So home prices, they're starting to drop right now, which is very, very interesting because as Trump continually pushes the pressure on the Fed to lower the rates, we're going to have home prices come down. We're going to have interest rates come down at the same time, which is really going to spark the home industry, the real estate industry, where we're going to see a lot of people start to get into the market, and this is going to drive other industries. It's going to drive lumber, it's going to drive copper, it's going to drive home furnishings, you name it. It's going to push this to the next level. And to push the entire economic system to the next level, what do you got to do? You got to lower energy prices. And that's exactly what is about to happen because magically, OPEC is preparing to increase oil productions again. And Saudi Arabia is pushing this. Isn't this interesting? And Trump has made quite a number of deals with Saudi Arabia. He's in line with Saudi Arabia. And now all of a sudden, OPEC has reversed this strategy of output cuts from April to boost market share and in response to pressure from U.S. President Donald Trump, desire for lower oil prices. So OPEC is going to be pushing quite a bit. So with OPEC increasing oil production by 137,000 barrels per day starting in October, what is this going to do? Well, we're going to see oil prices start to come down. And we're going to see oil prices probably start to fall around $2.90, $2.80, maybe even a little bit lower as we move into 2026. So as OPEC begins to ramp up production come this October, right now in this month, we're going to see oil prices start to drop. Now, of course, in other places, it's going to drop quite a bit. Now, I don't know if you know this. You're not investing. You're being used. Wall Street, Washington, the Fed, they don't care about your future. They care about control. And as they push their agenda forward, they'll take everything they can from you. Your retirement, your portfolio, your freedom, all of it. The only way to protect yourself is to stop playing their rig game and untether your wealth from the system they control before it's too late. The simplest way, move your money into a universal asset they can't print, freeze, or devalue. That asset is gold. With Noble Gold Investments, you can roll over your retirement into real physical gold and silver. Wealth that's beyond their reach. and in your hands. Go to x22gold.com right now to get your free wealth protection kit. That's x22gold.com. Noble Gold, helping you break free and take back control. Or just click the link in the description. And remember, past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals involves risk. Consult your financial advisor before making investment decisions. Faster than other places like California, they're probably not going to see oil prices drop that much. But in many other states, we're going to see oil prices come down. And I'll explain why in California, we're not going to see oil prices really come down all that much. Plus, they have a lot of taxes there. But around the rest of the country, the people, they're going to experience much, much lower energy prices, which is going to assist Trump in taking this economy to the next level. Because remember, he's bringing the manufacturers back to this country. He wants to create jobs, and he wants prices to come down all over the place. Remember, he's holding inflation steady right now. Inflation is caused by the creation of currency and then taking that currency and putting it into the economy, which dilutes the currency that's already there, and the currency then loses value. So if you can stop that, what happens? You can actually hold inflation steady. Now think about it. Trump is bringing in tariff money. Is he creating currency? No, he's already using the currency that's already in circulation and just bringing it back to this country. So he's not adding additional currency to the system. You see, when the D's say, listen, we need $1 trillion, just like they're doing right now with the shutdown. We need $1 trillion because we want to pay for illegals, medical insurance, and other things, and we want to launder the money. That's really what they want to do. Because remember, Trump has shut down their entire money laundering system, and he's shutting down their funding. So the D's, what they would do is they would borrow the money from the Federal Reserve. They would create their ridiculous programs. A very small percentage would go to the ridiculous programs, and the rest would be laundered throughout different NGOs and put back into the economy here in this country and around the world. Trump, he is not doing that. The currency that is being brought into his tariff system is the currency that already existed around the world. He's just bringing it back to the United States. He's not adding to the currency in this country. It's already been out there. So is this going to affect inflation? No, it is not. It doesn't dilute the currency because the currency was already created. So this is how Trump, in one way, this is how he's getting around the inflation that the Federal Reserve thought was going to happen. And by lowering the energy costs and bringing fuel prices way down, what does that do? Well, it lowers the delivery costs like UPS, FedEx, and the rest. It lowers the manufacturing process because you don't have to use that much energy. It lowers the amount of energy needed to ship the products using airlines. And also, people are going to pay less for airline flights. And those people that are filling up at the pumps, they're going to have more money in their pocket. So by lowering the energy costs, this is going to help Trump push the economy to the next level. And think about all the manufacturers that he's bringing back to this country, because now we can say, look, energy is dropping like a rock here. And as you bring back the manufacturing to this country, you're going to experience cheaper energy, and you can produce your product for a cheaper price, which is actually going to enable you to sell your product for a much cheaper price than if you were creating that product out in another country. And think about it, if he removes all the regulations, which he's going to do, and gives them tax credits, which he's going to do, he's going to create incentives where he's going to bring back a lot of manufacturers to this country. And this is going to really push the economy to the next level. Now, like I said before, in California, you might not see lower energy costs. They might come down a little bit, but think about it. First of all, California, they were the template for the Green New scam. They really placed a lot of taxes on oil and gas, and they were forcing the refiners out of the country because, again, it was the template for the Green New scam. Plus, there was just happened to be a fire out in LA, and it looks like Chevron's refinery, well, they're having a major problem. The fire broke out in a jet fuel unit, but this is going to affect the prices of fuel in California. It might also affect the prices maybe in Nevada and other areas close to California, because like Arizona, because they get their fuel from these refiners. Now, these refiners, they only make up like 1.5% or so of the gas that's being refined, and it's mostly in California. So those people that live in California, you might still see higher fuel prices. Now, I do believe this is probably going to be being done on purpose. They're going to try to blame Trump for all of this. But again, it's not going to work, because the rest of the country, they're going to see fuel prices start to really come down. And again, the deep state players, what do they want? They really want to go to the Green New scam. So again, if you're seeing fires and you're seeing something happen out in California, most likely this was done on purpose to push their Green New scam, just like out in Germany and many other places. And you can see it's all falling apart right now. But what Trump is doing right now, since he has the Middle East and he has relationships with Saudi Arabia, you could see he has the ability to say, listen, we need more oil production, bring the prices down. And I do believe this is going to be done moving into 2026. I wouldn't be surprised if they ramp it up more so while Trump prepares the drilling in this country. And I do believe we're going to see a lot of drilling in this country as we move into the year 2026. Because again, he's putting everything into place, removing the regulations, making it possible for these oil companies to drill in this country. And it doesn't happen overnight. So I do believe probably in the mid part of 2026, you're going to see a lot of drilling, and all of a sudden you're going to see fuel prices. As we get closer and closer to the midterm, I do believe the fuel prices are going to come down quite a bit. Now, he's using OPEC right now to assist in lowering the oil prices. And I think in many parts of the country, you'll probably see fuel prices around 260, 270, maybe even a little bit lower than that. And people are going to go, holy crap, look at this. Fuel prices have come down quite a bit. And as we get to the mid part of 2026, moving into the midterms, I wouldn't even be surprised if we see in some places fuel prices anywhere around 220, 225. And people are going to be absolutely shocked. And this is going to help the economy quite a bit. And I wouldn't be surprised if fuel prices go under $2 at one point. I'm not saying it's going to happen right before the midterms, maybe in one area or so, but that would be absolutely amazing. And this is going to shut down the entire Green New scam, the push for EVs, not just in this country, but around the world. And this is actually going to shut down the central bank's move into the Great Reset, while Trump is defunding the entire system. And you can see, as he makes the deals, as he puts the tariffs in place, basically as he evens out the trading across the globe, basically what he's doing, he's dismantling the globalist system one step at a time, and their plan to bring us into the Great Reset. And as he does this, I do believe he'll be making moves to move us away from the fiat currency and into the alternative currency, which I do believe that narrative will probably begin as we get closer and closer to the midterms. And it's really going to pick up once we, the Patriots, win over the Congress, which is the House and the Senate, and Trump takes full control. I do believe this is when the narrative of gold and Bitcoin pushing the idea that we need to go back to the Constitution, I do believe this is when it's really going to start to pick up. And this is when people are going to start to realize, holy crap, I think we are going back to sound money and we're going back to the Constitution. Now, of course, we know the central bankers, they're going to be pushing back with everything they have. And we know with the shutdown right now and what's happening out in Europe, we know the Federal Reserve, they're going to try to push back with everything they have because, again, they don't want Trump to succeed. But at this point in time, all they'll have left is another event. We're seeing the event right now, but I do believe they're going to be waiting for the major event to try to push the idea that the financial institution is doomed, is all Trump's fault. But I do believe Trump, in the end, is going to basically turn the tables on them, and we're going to be able to shift away from them. And I do believe he'll probably make the argument of blaming all of it on the Federal Reserve, maybe even pushing the idea we need to audit the Federal Reserve. And once we have the House, once we have the Senate, we'll be able to pass a bill or have a vote to actually audit the Fed and shift away from the Fed and back into the Constitution, because this is probably one of the only ways that we'll be able to do this. And once we go back to sound money, this is going to allow the buying power to be returned to the people, because this is what the Federal Reserve has done. It has stripped us of our buying power, which really means they have been stealing our wealth. And they've been doing this for quite a while. And it's all about to end. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.